What if everything you thought you knew was only half the story? In a world that glorifies certainty and rewards confidence, we often shy away from the unknown, mistaking it for weakness or failure. Yet history's greatest breakthroughs were born not from steadfast conviction, but from daring to question, to doubt, and to embrace the power of "I don't know." This book is an invitation to step into the liberating and sometimes unsettling space of uncertainty. Here, you'll discover that letting go of the need to be right isn't just an act of courage. It's a superpower. Together, we'll explore how humility, adaptability, and curiosity can unlock not just personal growth, but also a new way of seeing the world. Let's rethink everything we thought we knew about rethinking itself. Chapter 1: The Comfort of Certainty and the Courage to Let Go. Certainty is seductive. It wraps around us like a warm blanket, offering the illusion of safety and control. We build our lives on what we think we know, our routines, our beliefs, our judgments about the world. This need for stability is natural. After all, our ancestors survived by relying on predictable patterns. The rustling in the bushes could mean danger. The familiar path back to the cave meant safety. Certainty kept them alive. But in a modern, complex world, the same instinct can imprison us. Why do we cling so tightly to what we know, even when it no longer serves us? The answer lies in our psychology. The human brain is wired to seek patterns and to favor familiarity over ambiguity. Cognitive biases, those mental shortcuts we unconsciously use, reinforce this tendency. The confirmation bias, for example, leads us to seek information that supports what we already believe while dismissing evidence to the contrary. The anchoring effect causes us to latch onto initial ideas, making it hard to pivot, even when faced with new data. These biases make us feel secure, but they also create blind spots. Consider how this plays out in daily life. A person clings to a job they hate because it's better than starting over. A couple stays in a relationship that has long since become toxic because the alternative feels too daunting. An organization resists innovation, favoring outdated strategies that worked in the past. In all these scenarios, certainty feels like a lifeline. But is it? Certainty promises us control, but it's an illusion. Life, by its very nature, is unpredictable. No matter how carefully we plan, we cannot account for every variable. Unexpected events, a sudden illness, a job loss, a global pandemic, shatter the illusion and force us to confront the fragility of our foundations. Paradoxically, the more rigidly we cling to certainty, the harder it is to adapt when those foundations crumble. What if we could see uncertainty, not as a threat, but as an opportunity? Letting go of certainty requires courage, but it also frees us to explore possibilities we might never have considered. It's the courage to admit, "I don't know what's next," and that's okay. Fear is at the heart of our attachment to certainty. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. It all stems from the belief that uncertainty equals danger. But what if we reframed fear as a guide instead of an enemy? Fear often points us toward growth, signaling that we are stepping outside our comfort zones. And growth, by definition, requires letting go of the familiar. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. When was the last time you resisted change because you were afraid of what might happen? Perhaps you stayed in a situation that no longer aligned with your values or avoided pursuing a dream because it felt too risky. Now imagine what might have been possible if you had embraced the uncertainty instead. Cognitive biases are the mental chains that keep us tethered to certainty. Let's examine a few more. 1. Status quo bias. We tend to prefer things as they are, even when change might lead to improvement. 2. Hindsight bias. We convince ourselves that events were predictable all along, further reinforcing our attachment to past patterns. 3. Overconfidence effect. We overestimate the accuracy of our knowledge, blinding us to alternative perspectives. These biases are not flaws. They are survival mechanisms. However, survival and thriving are two different things. To thrive, we must recognize these biases and actively challenge them. Letting go of certainty doesn't mean abandoning all structure or becoming reckless. It means cultivating a mindset that is open, curious, and adaptable. This courage starts small. It might mean questioning a long-held belief or listening to someone with an opposing viewpoint. It might mean taking a calculated risk, like learning a new skill or stepping into a new role. Over time, these small acts of courage build resilience, making uncertainty less intimidating. Philosopher Alan Watts once said, "The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance." This is the essence of courage in the face of uncertainty, not resisting the unknown, but embracing it as a partner in the dance of life. When we let go of the need for certainty, we open ourselves to discovery. Uncertainty is the birthplace of creativity and innovation. It's where new ideas emerge, where breakthroughs happen, where growth becomes possible. Think of every great scientist, artist, or entrepreneur. None of them achieved greatness by clinging to what was known. They succeeded by venturing into the unknown. Albert Einstein famously said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." Knowledge, while valuable, is finite. Imagination thrives in the infinite realm of uncertainty. Practical steps to embrace uncertainty. 1. Practice mindfulness. Ground yourself in the present moment. Uncertainty often feels overwhelming because we project fears into the future. Mindfulness helps us focus on what we can control here and now. 2. Reframe questions. Instead of asking, "What if it all goes wrong?" try asking, "What if this leads to something amazing?" 3. Seek diverse perspectives. Surround yourself with people who challenge your views. This exposure helps you see beyond your cognitive biases. 4. Celebrate small risks. Take small steps outside your comfort zone and celebrate the act of trying, regardless of the outcome. The comfort of certainty is a double-edged sword. It shields us from the unknown but also limits our potential. By letting go of certainty and embracing the courage to face the unknown, we unlock a richer, more dynamic way of living. Life's greatest adventures often begin with the words, "I'm not sure what will happen, but I'm willing to find out." Chapter 2. The power of saying, "I don't know." In a world that values confidence and decisiveness, admitting "I don't know" can feel like an act of rebellion. From classrooms to boardrooms, we are taught to project certainty, to always have an answer, to avoid appearing unsure. Yet this cultural obsession with certainty often blinds us to the transformative power of humility. Saying "I don't know" is not a sign of weakness. It is a gateway to growth, learning, and authentic connection. Admitting that we don't know requires vulnerability, and vulnerability demands courage. It feels uncomfortable because it strips away the armor of expertise we so often rely on to navigate the world. But in that discomfort lies immense power. When we say, "I don't know," we create space for curiosity and discovery. Think about the moments in your life when you have learned the most. Were they the times when you had all the answers, or were they the times when you asked questions? The willingness to admit uncertainty is the first step toward wisdom. It acknowledges that knowledge is not a static destination, but a dynamic journey. The fear of saying, "I don't know," is deeply ingrained in us. From an early age, we are rewarded for knowing the right answers and penalized for getting things wrong. Over time, this creates a fear of judgment and a reluctance to admit gaps in our knowledge. In professional settings, this fear can be even more pronounced, where uncertainty is often equated with incompetence. But what if we reframe "I don't know" as a strength rather than a flaw? When leaders admit uncertainty, they model authenticity and inspire trust. When students embrace not knowing, they open themselves to deeper learning. And when individuals in any context admit they don't have all the answers, they invite collaboration and collective problem solving. Saying "I don't know" has the power to transform not only how we see ourselves, but also how we interact with others and the world. Here's why. 1. It opens doors to learning. When we admit we don't know, we invite new information and perspectives. It's a recognition that our current understanding is incomplete and that growth is possible. This mindset is the foundation of intellectual humility, a quality that fosters creativity, innovation, and continuous improvement. Imagine an artist who refuses to experiment with new techniques because they're afraid of failing. Their work may remain competent, but it will never evolve. Now imagine that same artist embracing the unknown, experimenting with new materials, and exploring unfamiliar styles. The result? Growth, discovery, and the potential for greatness. 2. It builds deeper connections. Admitting that we don't know fosters trust and empathy in relationships. It humanizes us, reminding others that we are all imperfect and ever-evolving. When we pretend to know everything, we create barriers. When we admit our uncertainty, we create bridges. For example, a manager who tells their team, "I don't have all the answers, but I'm committed to figuring this out with you," invites collaboration and strengthens team morale. Similarly, in personal relationships, admitting uncertainty can diffuse conflicts and lead to more meaningful conversations. 3. It encourages a growth mindset. The phrase "I don't know" embodies the essence of a growth mindset, the belief that abilities and understanding can be developed through effort and learning. This mindset contrasts with a fixed mindset, which views intelligence and talent as static traits. By embracing "I don't know," we signal to ourselves and others that we are open to change and capable of growth. Research in neuroscience supports the value of admitting uncertainty. When we acknowledge that we don't know something, the brain's learning centers become more active. Curiosity ignites, and we are more likely to retain new information. Conversely, when we cling to the illusion of certainty, we inhibit this natural learning process. Studies also show that intellectual humility is correlated with greater cognitive flexibility, the ability to adapt our thinking in response to new evidence. This flexibility is crucial in a rapidly changing world, where rigid beliefs and outdated knowledge can quickly become liabilities. Throughout history, some of the greatest breakthroughs have come from individuals who embraced uncertainty. Socrates. The ancient philosopher famously declared, "I know that I know nothing." This humble admission became the cornerstone of his method of inquiry, which has shaped Western philosophy for centuries. Albert Einstein. Despite being one of the most brilliant minds in history, Einstein was known for his curiosity and willingness to admit gaps in his understanding. He once said, "The important thing is not to stop questioning." Marie Curie. The pioneering scientist's relentless pursuit of knowledge stemmed from her willingness to ask questions others had not considered. Her groundbreaking work on radioactivity transformed science and medicine. These figures remind us that the courage to admit, "I don't know," is often the first step toward groundbreaking discoveries. Practical steps to embrace, "I don't know." 1. Pause before reacting. When faced with a question or challenge, resist the urge to provide an immediate answer. Take a moment to reflect, and don't be afraid to say, "I'm not sure, but let me find out." 2. Ask more questions. Replace the need to assert your knowledge with a genuine curiosity to learn. Practice asking open-ended questions like, "What do you think?" or "How did you come to that conclusion?" 3. Create a safe environment for uncertainty. Whether at work or in personal relationships, encourage others to admit when they don't know. Celebrate curiosity and experimentation rather than punishing mistakes. 4. Reflect on past assumptions. Think about beliefs or certainties you once held that later proved to be incomplete or incorrect. Use these experiences as reminders of the value of remaining open-minded. Saying, "I don't know," is not a weakness, it's a superpower. It takes courage to admit uncertainty in a culture that glorifies knowing, but this courage is what fuels true growth and discovery. When we embrace not knowing, we free ourselves from the constraints of ego and open the door to infinite possibilities. Chapter 3. The Science of Rethinking. The human brain is a marvel of adaptability, capable of learning, unlearning, and reshaping itself in response to new experiences. Yet, despite its remarkable flexibility, it often resists change. This paradox lies at the heart of why rethinking is both a challenge and a necessity. Understanding the science behind how our brains process information and why they often cling to old patterns can illuminate the path to growth and transformation. The brain is wired for efficiency. It craves shortcuts, relying on established neural pathways to save energy and process information quickly. These pathways, built over years of repeated thoughts and behaviors, become our mental habits. They're why driving to work, brushing our teeth, or interpreting social cues feels automatic. But this efficiency comes at a cost. The brain resists creating new pathways unless absolutely necessary. This resistance is why we often default to familiar beliefs and routines, even when they no longer serve us. Challenging these defaults requires effort, which the brain perceives as costly. Furthermore, cognitive dissonance, the discomfort we feel when confronted with information that contradicts our beliefs, pushes us to reject new ideas to protect our mental equilibrium. But while the brain prefers the comfort of the known, it is not static. The concept of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, proves that we can, in fact, reshape our thinking. Rethinking isn't easy, but it is possible, and science shows us how. Neuroplasticity is the brain's superpower. It allows us to form new neural connections, adapt to changing circumstances, and overcome deeply ingrained habits. This adaptability is most pronounced in childhood, but it remains active throughout life, especially when we engage in deliberate practice and learning. For example, consider a person learning a new language as an adult. At first, it feels awkward and unnatural, proof of the brain resisting change. But with consistent effort, new neural pathways form, and what was once difficult becomes second nature. This same principle applies to rethinking. The more we challenge our assumptions and expose ourselves to new perspectives, the more skilled we become at adapting our mental frameworks. History is rich with examples of breakthroughs born from individuals who dared to rethink what was known. 1. Copernicus and the heliocentric model. For centuries, the geocentric model, which placed Earth at the center of the universe, was accepted as fact. It wasn't until Nicholas Copernicus questioned this assumption that the heliocentric model, placing the sun at the center, emerged. This shift not only revolutionized astronomy, but also exemplified the power of challenging entrenched beliefs. 2. Marie Curie's groundbreaking discoveries. In her groundbreaking research on radioactivity, Curie ventured into uncharted scientific territory. She questioned existing theories about atomic structure and, through relentless experimentation, uncovered phenomena that reshaped physics and chemistry. 3. Steve Jobs and the iPhone. Jobs rethought what a phone could be, combining a device for communication with a personal computer, music player, and camera. His ability to challenge the status quo of technology led to a product that transformed global culture. These examples highlight a common thread. Breakthroughs occur when individuals are willing to question prevailing assumptions and explore new possibilities. While the benefits of rethinking are clear, the cost of clinging to outdated beliefs can be devastating. Organizations that refuse to adapt often fall behind, as evidenced by the decline of companies like Blockbuster and Kodak. Both were industry giants that failed to rethink their strategies in the face of technological change. On a personal level, the cost of rigid thinking can manifest as missed opportunities, stagnant relationships, and unfulfilled potential. Imagine someone who refuses to learn new skills because they believe they are too old, or someone who holds on to a grudge because they cannot see a situation from another perspective. the inability to rethink becomes a barrier to growth and happiness. How to train your brain to rethink. 1. Practice intellectual humility. Acknowledge that your current understanding is incomplete. This mindset opens the door to learning and growth. 2. Challenge automatic assumptions. When you catch yourself saying, "That's just how things are," ask yourself, "Is that true? What if the opposite were true?" 3. Expose yourself to diverse perspectives. Seek out voices and experiences different from your own. This could mean reading books outside your usual interests, having conversations with people who hold opposing views, or traveling to unfamiliar places. 4. Experiment with mental rehearsal. Visualize yourself approaching a problem in a completely different way. This practice strengthens your brain's ability to consider alternative solutions. 5. Celebrate being wrong. Each time you discover that an assumption was incorrect, treat it as a victory. It means you've learned something new. At the heart of rethinking is curiosity, the desire to explore, ask questions, and understand more deeply. Children are natural rethinkers because they approach the world with wonder, constantly asking why and what if. As we grow older, societal norms and the fear of looking ignorant often suppress this instinct. Reclaiming our curiosity is key to unlocking the brain's potential for rethinking. Think of curiosity as a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Start by questioning everyday assumptions. Why do we do things this way? Is there a better approach? Over time, this habit will make rethinking a natural part of your life. Rethinking is not about abandoning all that you know. It's about holding your knowledge lightly, remaining open to new evidence and ideas. The science of rethinking teaches us that while the brain may resist change, it is inherently adaptable. By understanding and leveraging this adaptability, we can transform not only our own lives, but also the world around us. Chapter 4. The Myth of Expertise. Expertise is often regarded as the pinnacle of knowledge, a mark of authority, and a trusted guide in an uncertain world. We rely on experts for their insights, believing their years of experience shield them from error. But what if expertise isn't always what it seems? What if the very certainty that defines an expert can sometimes become a blindfold? The myth of expertise lies not in the value of knowledge itself, but in the illusion of its completeness. True mastery requires the humility to question, adapt, and grow, even when it challenges the foundation of one's expertise. History is rife with examples of experts who missed the mark by clinging too tightly to what they knew to be true. Expertise, while powerful, carries a hidden danger: overconfidence. The more someone knows, the more likely they are to fall into the trap of believing they know everything, or at least everything that matters. This overconfidence can blind even the brightest minds to new possibilities. Consider the story of Ignaz Semmelweis, a 19th-century Hungarian physician. He discovered that hand-washing could drastically reduce infections in hospitals, yet his ideas were dismissed by the medical establishment. The experts of the time were so entrenched in their beliefs about disease and cleanliness that they rejected evidence that contradicted their worldview. Their expertise, ironically, became their barrier to progress. This phenomenon isn't limited to the past. In today's fast-paced world, industries are constantly disrupted by newcomers who dare to challenge the status quo, individuals and teams unburdened by the weight of expertise. Their fresh perspectives allow them to see opportunities that seasoned professionals often overlook. Expertise is built on patterns, recognizing, interpreting, and applying them. But patterns can also create blind spots. When experts rely too heavily on what has worked before, they risk ignoring emerging trends, alternative approaches, or unconventional ideas. In the 1990s, Kodak was a leader in photography and one of the most recognizable brands in the world. They even developed the first digital camera. Yet, their expertise in film photography led them to dismiss digital technology as a passing fad. This decision, rooted in their deep knowledge of their industry, ultimately contributed to their decline. The lesson here is clear. Expertise can provide a map, but it can also obscure the landscape. The more we rely on established knowledge, the harder it becomes to navigate uncharted territory. Despite its pitfalls, expertise can also be a force for transformation when paired with humility and curiosity. History offers many examples of experts who dared to question their own assumptions and, in doing so, revolutionized their fields. 1. Albert Einstein. While working as a patent clerk, Einstein rethought the fundamental principles of physics. Even as he became one of the world's foremost scientific experts, he maintained a childlike curiosity, famously saying, "I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious." His ability to rethink led to the development of the theory of relativity, transforming our understanding of space and time. 2. Elon Musk. As a pioneer in multiple industries, Musk embodies the principle of questioning expertise. He entered the automotive and aerospace industries, fields dominated by well-established players, and challenged their assumptions. By rethinking everything from production processes to fuel efficiency, he built companies like Tesla and SpaceX, pushing boundaries many experts deemed impossible. 3. Katherine Johnson. As a mathematician at NASA, Johnson questioned conventional approaches to spaceflight calculations. Her willingness to rethink and innovate played a critical role in the success of the Apollo missions, proving that even in the most complex fields, fresh thinking can lead to groundbreaking achievements. These stories highlight an essential truth. Expertise should be a foundation, not a fortress. The best experts are those who remain open to new ideas, recognizing that mastery is an ongoing process rather than a final destination. One antidote to the pitfalls of expertise is cultivating what Zen Buddhists call shoshin, or beginner's mind. This mindset involves approaching problems with the openness and curiosity of a novice, regardless of one's level of experience. Beginner's mind encourages experts to ask fundamental questions, challenge assumptions, and consider alternative perspectives. It shifts the focus from, "What do I already know?" to, "What am I missing?" For instance, in the tech industry, many startups succeed because their founders approach problems with fresh eyes. They aren't constrained by the rules of the field, which allows them to innovate in ways seasoned professionals might not. The beginner's mind is a reminder that sometimes not knowing is an advantage. How can we avoid the trap of overconfidence and the blindfold of expertise? 1. Embrace intellectual humility. Acknowledge that no matter how much you know, there is always more to learn. Stay curious and open to new information, even if it challenges your current understanding. 2. Seek diverse perspectives. Surround yourself with people who think differently from you. They can challenge your assumptions and introduce you to ideas you might not have considered. 3. Ask naive questions. Don't be afraid to ask basic or obvious questions, even if you're an expert. These questions often lead to deeper insights and uncover hidden flaws in thinking. 4. Regularly reevaluate your beliefs. Periodically review the assumptions and knowledge that guide your decisions. Are they still valid? Are there better alternatives? 5. Celebrate being proven wrong. When new evidence disproves something you believe to be true, see it as a victory. It means you've learned something new. Expertise is a powerful tool, but it is not infallible. When it becomes rigid or resistant to change, it can stifle growth and innovation. The myth of expertise is the belief that mastery means having all the answers. The reality is that true expertise lies in knowing which questions to ask. As you reflect on your own areas of expertise, ask yourself, where might my knowledge be limiting me? What would happen if I let go of the need to be right and embrace the possibility of being wrong? The answers to these questions might just lead to your next breakthrough. Chapter 5. Mental Flexibility, a Superpower for the Future. The world is changing faster than ever before. Technological advancements, global challenges, and shifting social norms demand one thing above all: adaptability. Those who can pivot, rethink, and embrace the unknown will not just survive, they will thrive. Mental flexibility, the ability to adjust your thinking and perspectives, is no longer a luxury. It's a superpower for the future. Yet many of us resist change, clinging to old ways of thinking and behaving even as the world around us evolves. Why? Because change is uncomfortable. It disrupts the familiar, threatens our sense of control, and forces us to confront the possibility that what we once believed or relied upon might no longer serve us. Mental flexibility is the antidote to this resistance, and cultivating it can transform the way we navigate life's complexities. At its core, mental flexibility is rooted in the brain's neuroplasticity, its ability to reorganize and form new neural connections. When faced with a problem, the brain instinctively draws on past experiences and established patterns to find solutions. This efficiency serves us well in familiar situations, but can become a hindrance when we encounter novel challenges. Mental flexibility involves deliberately disrupting these automatic processes. It's about training your brain to explore alternative perspectives, consider unconventional solutions, and embrace uncertainty. Over time, this practice strengthens neural pathways associated with creativity, problem-solving, and resilience. The good news? Mental flexibility is a skill you can develop, regardless of your age or background. Like any muscle, it grows stronger with use. Why mental flexibility matters. 1. The pace of change. Jobs that exist today may not exist tomorrow. Skills that were essential a decade ago may already be obsolete. Mental flexibility allows you to adapt to these shifts, ensuring you remain relevant and capable in a rapidly changing world. 2. Complex problems. Many of the challenges we face, climate change, global pandemics, and political polarization, require innovative, multidimensional thinking. Mental flexibility enables us to approach these issues from fresh angles and devise creative solutions. 3. Personal growth. On an individual level, mental flexibility helps us navigate relationships, overcome setbacks, and seize new opportunities. It allows us to let go of limiting beliefs and embrace personal transformation. How to develop mental flexibility. 1. Practice perspective taking. Mental flexibility starts with the willingness to see the world through different lenses. This means stepping outside of your comfort zone and considering viewpoints that challenge your own. When discussing a contentious issue, try arguing from the opposite perspective. What evidence supports this view? How might someone arrive at this conclusion? Read books, watch films, or engage with media that reflect experiences vastly different from your own. Empathy grows when you step into someone else's shoes. 2. Embrace what if thinking. Rigid thinking often stems from a fear of the unknown. By shifting your mindset to one of curiosity, you can transform uncertainty into possibility. Ask yourself, what if the opposite of what I believe is true? What if there's a better way to approach this problem? Engage in brainstorming sessions, where no idea is off limits, no matter how unconventional or impractical it may seem. 3. Challenge routine. Habits are comforting, but can also create mental rigidity. Shake things up by introducing small disruptions to your daily routine. Take a different route to work. Try a new hobby or skill that pushes you out of your comfort zone. Experiment with new ways of solving familiar problems. 4. Reframe setbacks as opportunities. Failure often feels like a dead end, but it's actually a powerful teacher. Mentally flexible people view setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow. When faced with failure, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this experience shape my future decisions? Develop a habit of celebrating small mistakes as stepping stones to success. 5. Cultivate curiosity. Curiosity is the fuel for mental flexibility. It drives you to ask questions, explore new ideas, and remain open to the unexpected. Commit to learning something new every day, whether it's a fact, a skill, or a perspective. Approach uncertainty with a mindset of discovery, not fear. Real-world examples of mental flexibility. 1. Reinventing careers. Consider the story of Vera Wang, who transitioned from journalism to fashion design in her 40s, despite no formal background in the field. Her mental flexibility allowed her to see herself in a completely new role, leading to one of the most successful careers in modern fashion. 2. Resilience in crisis. During the COVID-19 pandemic, countless small businesses survived by pivoting their models. Restaurants became takeout operations. Yoga studios moved online. Manufacturers began producing personal protective equipment. These adaptations were only possible through mental flexibility. 45.3. Scientific breakthroughs. The development of mRNA vaccines, which played a critical role in combating COVID-19, was a result of decades of scientists challenging traditional approaches to vaccine development. Their ability to rethink conventional methods saved millions of lives. Exercises to boost mental agility. 3. Scientific breakthroughs. The development of mRNA vaccines, which played a critical role in combating COVID-19, was a result of decades of scientists challenging traditional approaches to vaccine development. Their ability to rethink conventional methods saved millions of lives. Exercises to boost mental agility. 1. Debate yourself. Write down a belief or assumption you hold, then spend 10 minutes arguing against it. This exercise trains your brain to consider alternative viewpoints. 2. Change your media diet. If you normally consume content that aligns with your views, spend a week engaging with media that challenges them. 3. Learn something unrelated to your field. Pick up a skill or subject entirely outside your area of expertise. This practice stimulates your brain to make new connections. Mental flexibility is not about abandoning principles or constantly second-guessing yourself. It's about maintaining a balance between confidence in your knowledge and openness to change. It's about recognizing that growth often requires letting go of the familiar to embrace the unknown. The future belongs to those who can adapt. As you move forward, ask yourself, am I clinging to outdated beliefs or routines? How can I approach this situation with fresh eyes? By cultivating mental flexibility, you're not just preparing for the future, you're shaping it. And in a world that never stops changing, this might be the most valuable skill of all. Chapter 6. How to change someone's mind without starting a fight. In a world where opinions clash and debates often turn into shouting matches, the art of changing someone's mind has become a rare and invaluable skill. It's tempting to think that facts alone will convince others, but anyone who has argued passionately only to meet resistance knows that logic often takes a back seat to emotions, identity, and deeply held beliefs. Changing someone's mind isn't about winning a battle. It's about fostering understanding, bridging divides, and planting seeds of transformation. Done thoughtfully, it can strengthen relationships and lead to meaningful growth for both parties. But how do you approach such a delicate task without igniting defensiveness or escalating conflict? The first step in changing someone's mind is understanding why they hold onto their beliefs so tightly. For many, beliefs are more than ideas. They're an integral part of identity. Challenging someone's opinion can feel to them like a personal attack, triggering a defensive reaction. Psychologists call this the backfire effect. When confronted with evidence that contradicts their beliefs, people often double down instead of reconsidering. This isn't because they're stubborn or irrational, it's human nature. Our brains are wired to prioritize consistency, and admitting we're wrong can feel like a threat to our sense of self. To counter this resistance, The goal isn't to prove someone wrong, but to create a safe space where they feel open to exploration. Empathy is the foundation of any successful attempt to change someone's mind. Before you can persuade, you must first understand. Why does the person believe what they do? What emotions or experiences have shaped their perspective? Listen actively. People are more likely to consider your point of view if they feel heard. Resist the urge to interrupt or jump in with counterarguments. Instead, ask open-ended questions that encourage them to share their thoughts. Validate their feelings. You don't have to agree with someone to acknowledge their emotions. Statements like, "I can see why you'd feel that way," can go a long way in building trust. Empathy doesn't mean abandoning your own beliefs. It means approaching the conversation with curiosity instead of judgment. People are more open to change when they see how it aligns with their existing values. Instead of attacking their stance, frame your argument in a way that resonates with what they care about. For example, if you're discussing environmental policies with someone who resists government regulations, highlight how sustainable practices can support free market innovation. By connecting new ideas to their core beliefs, you reduce the perceived threat and increase receptivity. Facts are important, but they rarely change hearts and minds on their own. Stories, on the other hand, tap into emotions and create a personal connection. Share personal experiences. If you've undergone a change of heart on the topic, explain what led to your shift. Your vulnerability can inspire others to reflect on their own perspectives. Humanize the issue. Instead of citing statistics, tell the story of someone affected by the issue. Stories make abstract concepts tangible and relatable. For instance, during the civil rights movement, activists often used personal stories and images of injustice to garner empathy and shift public opinion. Facts provided the foundation, but stories moved the needle. One of the most effective ways to change someone's mind is by guiding them to question their own beliefs. Socrates called this method elenkous, or the Socratic method, and it remains a powerful tool for fostering self-reflection. Instead of telling someone they're wrong, ask thoughtful questions that encourage them to examine their assumptions. What evidence would convince you to reconsider your position? Have you ever encountered a situation where this belief didn't hold true? What do you think someone with the opposite perspective would say about this? These questions aren't meant to trap or embarrass, but to gently nudge the person toward introspection. Certain behaviors can shut down a conversation before it even begins. To keep the dialogue productive, avoid criticism. Statements like "you're wrong" or "that's ridiculous" will only make someone defensive. Focus on the idea, not the person. Don't overwhelm with evidence. Presenting too much information at once can feel like an attack. Instead, share one or two key points and let them sink in. Stay calm. If emotions escalate, take a step back. A heated argument rarely changes minds. Sometimes changing someone's mind is less about a single conversation and more about planting seeds that grow over time. People rarely admit to a shift in the heat of the moment, but your words might linger and prompt them to reconsider later. This requires patience and a willingness to let go of immediate results. Remember, the goal isn't to win, but to open the door to possibility. Not every conversation will lead to change, and that's okay. If someone is unwilling to engage in good faith or becomes hostile, it's better to walk away than to force the issue. Respect their autonomy and focus your energy on those who are open to dialogue. At its best, the process of changing someone's mind is a collaborative journey rather than a contest. It's an opportunity for both parties to grow, learn, and deepen their understanding of the world. And here's the surprising truth. In attempting to change someone else's mind, you might find your own perspective evolving as well. Conversations that challenge us to articulate and defend our beliefs often reveal nuances we hadn't considered. The next time you find yourself in a disagreement, ask, how can I approach this with empathy, curiosity, and respect? The answer might not just change their mind, it could change yours too. In a world increasingly divided by opposing viewpoints, the ability to navigate these differences with grace and understanding is a superpower we all need. By mastering the art of persuasion, we can build bridges where walls once stood, creating a future where dialogue replaces division. Chapter 7. The Joy of Being Wrong. Mistakes, failures, being wrong. These are words that make most of us cringe. From a young age, we're taught that being wrong is something to avoid, a mark of inadequacy or weakness. Tests reward the right answers, and society often prizes confidence over humility. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if being wrong isn't a setback but a stepping stone? What if it's not something to fear, but something to embrace, and even celebrate? The joy of being wrong may sound counterintuitive, but it is one of the most liberating and transformative shifts you can make in your mindset. When you stop seeing mistakes as failures and start seeing them as opportunities, life opens up in remarkable ways. At its core, the fear of being wrong is tied to our ego. We often equate our beliefs, decisions, and knowledge with our sense of self-worth. Admitting we're wrong can feel like admitting we're flawed, and that's a hard pill to swallow. There's also a social element. In many cultures, being wrong is stigmatized. People avoid admitting mistakes to protect their reputation, credibility, or authority. This creates a culture of defensiveness, where individuals cling to outdated beliefs and refuse to acknowledge new information, even when it's presented with overwhelming evidence. Yet, history is full of examples of people who found success and growth precisely because they were willing to admit they were wrong. Being wrong doesn't have to be a source of shame. It can be a catalyst for growth, a doorway to new insights, and a powerful teacher. Here's how. 1. Being wrong sparks curiosity. When you realize you're wrong, you're forced to ask questions. Why did I think this way? What assumptions did I make? What can I learn from this experience? This questioning leads to exploration, discovery, and ultimately, deeper understanding. Admitting you're wrong is the first step toward uncovering truths you might have otherwise missed. 2. Being wrong builds resilience. When you embrace the inevitability of mistakes, you build emotional resilience. You learn that failure isn't fatal and that your worth isn't tied to being right all the time. This mindset helps you bounce back stronger and approach challenges with renewed confidence. 3. Being wrong strengthens relationships. Admitting you're wrong can be a powerful act of vulnerability. It shows humility and builds trust. Whether in friendships, romantic partnerships, or professional settings, people respect those who are willing to own their mistakes. 4. Being wrong drives innovation. Some of humanity's greatest breakthroughs were born out of mistakes. Penicillin was discovered by accident, the result of a scientist failing to keep his lab perfectly sterile. Post-it notes emerged from an adhesive that didn't work as intended. These examples show that being wrong isn't the end. It's often the beginning of something extraordinary. How do you find joy in being wrong? The key lies in reframing your perspective. 1. Detach from your ego. Understand that your worth isn't tied to your ideas. You are not your beliefs, and changing your mind doesn't make you weak. It makes you adaptable. The more you can separate your identity from your opinions, the easier it becomes to accept when you're wrong. 2. See mistakes as data. Rather than viewing mistakes as failures, see them as valuable feedback. Each mistake is a data point that brings you closer to the truth or a better solution. 3. Celebrate the process, not the outcome. Shift your focus from getting things right to valuing the process of learning and growing. When you prioritize curiosity and exploration, being wrong becomes a natural and joyful part of the journey. At the heart of embracing being wrong is cultivating curiosity. When you approach life with a curious mindset, mistakes lose their sting. Instead of thinking, "I can't believe I messed up," you start asking, "What can I learn from this? How can this mistake shape me for the better?" Curiosity transforms being wrong from a moment of defeat into a spark of discovery. It helps you approach problems with openness and creativity, seeing possibilities where others see dead ends. History offers countless examples of leaders and innovators who weren't afraid to admit they were wrong and thrived because of it. Abraham Lincoln famously admitted to missteps during his presidency, earning the respect of his critics and building bridges where others might have burned them. His willingness to admit fault demonstrated humility and strength. Oprah Winfrey often speaks about the lessons she learned from career setbacks, emphasizing how moments of failure were pivotal in shaping her success. Elon Musk has repeatedly acknowledged mistakes in his ambitious projects, from Tesla to SpaceX, using them as stepping stones to refine his vision and achieve groundbreaking innovations. These leaders didn't see being wrong as a mark of failure. They saw it as an opportunity to grow and inspire others. If embracing being wrong feels uncomfortable, start small. 1. Keep a failure journal. Write down one thing you got wrong each day and what you learned from it. This practice helps normalize mistakes and shift your focus to growth. 2. Ask for feedback. Regularly seek input from others, even on things you think you're doing well. Their perspectives might reveal blind spots you didn't know existed. 3. Admit mistakes. Quickly. The next time you realize you're wrong, say so immediately. Notice how people react. More often than not, they'll respect your honesty. Being wrong isn't a flaw. It's a feature of the human experience. It's what keeps us humble, curious, and open to growth. By embracing the joy of being wrong, you free yourself from the burden of perfection and unlock the boundless possibilities that come with learning and evolving. The next time you find yourself clinging to being right, pause and ask, "What am I afraid to learn?" You might just discover that being wrong is the most enlightening experience of all. Chapter 8. Unlearning, the secret to lifelong growth. If learning is the accumulation of knowledge, unlearning is the art of letting go. It's about releasing outdated ideas, assumptions, and habits to make room for new insights and growth. But unlearning isn't as simple as erasing a chalkboard. It's an active, deliberate process, one that requires self-awareness, courage, and a willingness to challenge the comfort of the familiar. Unlearning is often more difficult than learning because it demands that we confront deeply ingrained beliefs. These beliefs may have served us well in the past, but clinging to them can prevent us from evolving in a world that's constantly changing. The willingness to unlearn is what separates those who remain stuck in the past from those who thrive in the future. Many of the challenges we face in life stem from outdated mental models. These are the frameworks through which we interpret the world, ideas about how things should work, what's possible, and who we are. While these mental models may have been useful at one time, they can become barriers when the world shifts or when new opportunities arise. Consider how technology has transformed industries. Companies that thrived in the pre-digital era often struggled to adapt because their leaders clung to old ways of thinking. Kodak, for example, dominated the photography market, but failed to embrace digital photography quickly enough. Its downfall wasn't due to a lack of knowledge. It was an inability to unlearn the traditional film business model. On a personal level, unlearning is just as critical. How often do we hold on to habits, routines, or beliefs simply because that's how it's always been done? The ability to question these patterns and let them go when they no longer serve us is what allows us to grow, adapt, and reinvent ourselves. Unlearning isn't easy because our brains are wired for efficiency. Once we've internalized a belief or behavior, it becomes a shortcut, something we rely on without questioning. This is why habits are so hard to break. They're deeply embedded in our neural pathways. To unlearn, we must create new neural connections while weakening the old ones. This process can feel uncomfortable, even threatening, because it requires us to step into uncertainty. But it's in this discomfort that growth happens. Unlearning is not about forgetting everything you know. It's about selectively letting go of what no longer aligns with your goals or reality. Here's how you can approach it. 1. Identify outdated beliefs. The first step in unlearning is recognizing which beliefs or assumptions are holding you back. Ask yourself, what do I believe about myself or the world that might no longer be true? Which habits or routines feel more like obligations than choices? Are there areas where I've stopped questioning the status quo? For example, you might hold on to the belief that failure is something to avoid at all costs. While this belief might have protected you from risks in the past, it could now be preventing you from pursuing meaningful opportunities. 2. Challenge the comfort of certainty. Unlearning requires that you become comfortable with uncertainty. This means being willing to admit that what you know might not be the whole truth, or even true at all. Start by questioning your assumptions. When you encounter a differing perspective, instead of dismissing it, ask yourself, what if this person has a point? What evidence supports their view? 3. Seek contradictory information. One of the most effective ways to unlearn is to expose yourself to ideas that challenge your current beliefs. Read books, listen to podcasts, or engage in conversations with people who think differently than you. For example, if you've always believed that success requires constant hard work, you might explore research on the power of rest and creativity. By engaging with opposing viewpoints, you expand your perspective and open the door to unlearning. 4. Practice. Letting go. Letting go doesn't mean rejecting everything you've learned. It means being willing to release what no longer serves you. This could involve changing a habit, shifting a mindset, or reevaluating a long-held goal. Letting go is often hardest when it involves identity. If you've built your self-worth around being the expert in a certain area, admitting that you need to unlearn can feel like a loss. But in reality, it's a gain. It allows you to grow into a more authentic and adaptable version of yourself. 5. Replace old patterns with new ones. Unlearning isn't just about removing old beliefs. It's about replacing them with more empowering ones. For example, if you've unlearned the idea that vulnerability is a weakness, you might replace it with the belief that vulnerability fosters connection. If you've unlearned the habit of procrastination, you might replace it with a habit of breaking tasks into manageable steps. Unlearning opens the door to infinite possibilities. It allows you to adapt to change. In a world that's constantly evolving, the ability to unlearn is essential for staying relevant and resilient. Embrace growth. By letting go of outdated beliefs, you create space for new ideas and experiences that enrich your life. Foster innovation. Unlearning helps you see problems from fresh perspectives, leading to creative solutions and breakthroughs. Unlearning isn't a one-time event, it's an ongoing practice. Here are some ways to make it part of your daily life. Reflect regularly. Set aside time to review your beliefs and behaviors. Ask yourself, is this still serving me? Stay curious. Approach life with a beginner's mindset, even in areas where you're an expert. Celebrate change. When you successfully unlearn something, acknowledge the growth it represents. Unlearning is the secret to lifelong growth because it keeps you open, curious, and adaptable. It's a reminder that who you are today doesn't have to define who you'll be tomorrow. By embracing the art of letting go, you free yourself from the chains of outdated thinking and step into the limitless potential of what could be. The next time you catch yourself clinging to a belief or habit, pause and ask, is this serving me or is it holding me back? The answer might just be the first step on your journey to unlearning and to unlocking your fullest potential. Chapter 9. Rethinking relationships and social norms. The way we relate to others and the expectations that shape our interactions are deeply rooted in social norms. From family dynamics to professional relationships, these norms guide our behavior, often without us even realizing it. They tell us how to communicate, whom to trust, and what roles we should play in society. But as the world evolves, so too should our thinking about relationships. Social norms that once served us well may now constrain our growth and our ability to foster deeper, more meaningful connections. Rethinking relationships and social norms is an essential part of embracing uncertainty and adapting to an ever-changing world. It's about challenging old assumptions, questioning why we do things the way we do, and creating new ways of relating to ourselves and others. This is not only a path to personal growth, but a way to build more authentic, empathetic, and inclusive communities. Throughout our lives, we are taught to conform. From an early age, we are given implicit rules about how to behave, how to interact, and how to fit in. These social norms help maintain order, but they can also become shackles that limit our potential. Think about the expectations placed on us in school or the workplace. We are encouraged to succeed by following predefined paths, earn good grades, get the job, climb the corporate ladder. But these norms, while well-intentioned, can lead to dissatisfaction. Many of us end up chasing goals that society has set for us rather than discovering what we truly value. In relationships, conformity can manifest in rigid gender roles, predefined family structures, and unspoken expectations of how we should show up for others. These norms can create pressure to act in ways that don't align with our authentic selves, leading to disconnection and frustration. When we are too focused on conforming to what is expected, we lose sight of what truly matters in our relationships: mutual respect, understanding, and growth. We start to value external validation over internal satisfaction, and this misalignment can breed resentment and miscommunication. To rethink relationships, we must first challenge the social norms that have shaped them. This requires us to step outside the boundaries of tradition and ask, what would it look like if we approached relationships from a place of openness and authenticity rather than obligation or expectation? 1. Redefining boundaries. Traditional notions of relationships often dictate rigid boundaries. Family is family, friends are friends, and romantic partners are bound by specific roles. While boundaries are essential, they don't need to be so rigid. By rethinking these boundaries, we can create more fluid and flexible relationships. For example, in the past, friendships were often defined by proximity. People were friends because they saw each other regularly or lived near each other. In today's interconnected world, however, we have the ability to form deep connections with people across the globe. Redefining boundaries in this context means recognizing that meaningful relationships are not limited by geography or traditional labels. Similarly, romantic relationships often come with rigid expectations: marriage, children, monogamy. While these structures work for some, they don't suit everyone. Rethinking relationships means allowing for different configurations, whether it's non-traditional family structures, open relationships, or simply choosing to remain single. The essence of a relationship is not the structure, but the connection and mutual respect it fosters. 2. Building empathy, not just understanding. Empathy is at the heart of meaningful relationships, yet many social norms encourage us to focus more on understanding than empathizing. Understanding someone's point of view is valuable, but it's empathy that creates real connection. Empathy involves feeling with someone, sharing in their emotions, and responding with care and concern. It's about putting yourself in someone else's shoes, not just intellectually, but emotionally. When we allow ourselves to truly empathize with others, we let go of judgments and assumptions. We open ourselves to a deeper connection, one that transcends surface-level interactions. Empathy invites vulnerability, and in turn, it invites authenticity. In a world where social norms often encourage surface-level interactions, empathy helps us cultivate more profound and honest relationships. 3. Embracing diversity in connection. Social norms have often dictated a narrow definition of who we should connect with. Historically, people were encouraged to form relationships with those who were similar to them in terms of culture, religion, and social status. This approach created exclusion, division, and a lack of understanding between different groups of people. Rethinking relationships means embracing diversity. It means recognizing the beauty in difference rather than fearing it. In today's globalized world, we have the opportunity to connect with people from all walks of life. These relationships not only enrich our experiences, but also expand our perspectives. When we actively seek out diverse connections, we challenge the norms of tribalism and division. We learn to value the perspectives of others, even when they don't align with our own. This fosters a culture of inclusion and respect, one where differences are celebrated rather than tolerated. Social norms often encourage us to categorize our relationships: family, friends, colleagues, lovers. While labels can help clarify expectations, they can also limit the potential of our connections. What happens when we remove labels and simply focus on the quality of the relationship? Without the constraints of predefined roles, we open up space for genuine connection. In the absence of labels, we are free to be who we truly are in each moment. Consider the possibility of cultivating relationships that are less about fulfilling societal expectations and more about mutual growth and shared experiences. These relationships can be fluid, dynamic, and ever-evolving, shaped by the unique needs and desires of the individuals involved. As society continues to evolve, so too will our understanding of relationships. The traditional models that have governed how we connect with others are no longer universally applicable. Instead, we are witnessing a shift toward more individualized and diverse approaches to relationships. Rethinking relationships means recognizing that no single approach works for everyone. What is most important is the ability to adapt, listen, and remain open to new ways of connecting with others. This shift challenges us to move away from rigid frameworks and embrace the fluidity and diversity of human connection. Rethinking relationships and social norms is a transformative act. It invites us to reimagine the ways we connect with others, allowing for deeper, more authentic interactions. By challenging outdated expectations and embracing empathy, diversity, and flexibility, we can create a new social contract, one that values connection over conformity. In this new framework, relationships are not bound by tradition, obligation, or judgment. They are built on mutual respect, understanding, and a shared commitment to growth. As we move into an uncertain future, it is through these reimagined connections that we will find the strength, resilience, and wisdom to navigate the complexities of modern life. Chapter 10. The Open Mind Revolution. In a world that's constantly evolving, the ability to rethink, adapt, and embrace uncertainty has never been more crucial. The rapid pace of technological advancement, global interconnectedness, and social change calls for a revolution in the way we think. This revolution isn't about merely accepting new ideas. It's about creating a mindset where the questioning of the status quo is not only welcomed, but expected. The Open Mind Revolution is a call to challenge our assumptions, unlearn outdated ways of thinking, and actively seek diverse perspectives. It's about creating a culture where curiosity and adaptability are valued as essential tools for progress. An open mind is not passive. It's an active force that drives transformation. It's the willingness to entertain multiple viewpoints, to question long-held beliefs, and to see the world not as a collection of fixed truths, but as a dynamic and ever-changing landscape. In this chapter, we explore the profound impact that fostering an open mind can have on both personal and collective growth, and how we can build a culture where rethinking is the norm. At its core, an open mind is a willingness to entertain ideas that challenge your beliefs. It's the realization that our knowledge is limited and that we don't have all the answers. This mindset, while often uncomfortable, is essential for innovation and progress. When we open ourselves up to new ideas, we break free from the limitations of our own thinking. The ability to change our minds based on new information is the hallmark of intellectual growth and emotional maturity. Consider how breakthroughs in science, technology, and social movements have often been the result of individuals or groups questioning the established norms. The invention of the telephone, the theory of relativity, the civil rights movement. All were born from the willingness of individuals to rethink the status quo and imagine something different. These moments of change didn't come from blind acceptance of existing beliefs, but from the courage to challenge them and envision a new future. The power of an open mind lies in its ability to push the boundaries of what we know. By embracing uncertainty and allowing ourselves to be receptive to new ideas, we create the space for innovation to thrive. It is through this openness that we can truly evolve, not just as individuals, but as societies and cultures. The open mind revolution doesn't have to be a solitary journey. It can be a collective one. Cultivating a culture of rethinking within communities, organizations, and societies has the potential to drive profound change. However, this requires a shift in how we value knowledge, learning, and progress. In many traditional settings, knowledge is often seen as static and finite, something to be mastered and defended. But in a culture of rethinking, knowledge is fluid, adaptable, and always open to refinement. In organizations, fostering a culture of rethinking means creating an environment where employees feel encouraged to ask difficult questions, challenge ideas, and propose alternative solutions without fear of ridicule or rejection. It means valuing critical thinking and creativity over conformity. This shift in mindset can lead to a more dynamic, innovative workplace where people are constantly seeking ways to improve and adapt. On a societal level, a culture of rethinking could transform how we approach issues like education, politics, and social justice. For instance, in education, it would mean moving away from rote memorization and standardized testing toward a system that prioritizes inquiry, problem-solving, and adaptability. In politics, it could mean embracing a willingness to evolve and learn from past mistakes rather than rigidly sticking to ideological positions. A society that embraces rethinking is one that values flexibility, curiosity, and the ability to learn from both success and failure. A key aspect of the open mind revolution is rethinking how we view failure. In a world where failure is often seen as a negative outcome to be avoided at all costs, cultivating an open mind requires a shift in perspective. Rather than viewing failure as something to fear, we must learn to see it as a necessary part of growth. Failure is a powerful teacher. It offers us valuable insights into what doesn't work, which can often be more enlightening than knowing what does. However, this lesson can only be fully appreciated if we are open to receiving it. An open mind allows us to embrace failure not as a reflection of our inadequacy, but as an opportunity to refine our approach, rethink our strategies, and grow stronger. In the open mind revolution, failure is not the end of the road. It is simply a step in the process of discovery. Each failure brings us closer to understanding, to the clarity we need to succeed in the future. This mindset encourages resilience and perseverance, enabling individuals and organizations to persist in the face of setbacks and emerge stronger. Curiosity is the fuel that drives the open mind revolution. Without curiosity, there is no reason to rethink, to question, or to explore new possibilities. Curiosity is the spark that ignites the desire to learn and grow. It is the innate drive to ask why and what if, to challenge assumptions, and to seek new perspectives. In a world where information is abundant, it's easy to fall into the trap of complacency, accepting what is presented to us without questioning its validity or relevance. The open mind revolution calls for a return to curiosity, to a mindset that values asking the right questions over accepting surface-level answers. This type of curiosity encourages us to dig deeper, to explore beyond the obvious, and to search for deeper truths. Curiosity also fosters empathy. When we approach others with genuine curiosity, we are more likely to listen, to understand, and to connect on a deeper level. This is especially important in a time when divisions and polarization seem to be growing. An open mind, paired with curiosity, can help bridge these gaps by fostering understanding and compassion, even across differences. To truly embrace the open mind revolution, we need practical tools and strategies to help us along the way. Here are a few ways to cultivate an open mind. 1. Practice active listening. Listening with the intent to understand, not just to respond, helps broaden our perspective. By actively engaging with others' ideas and experiences, we open ourselves to new insights and challenge our own assumptions. 2. Seek diverse perspectives. One of the quickest ways to expand your thinking is to expose yourself to different viewpoints. Engage with people whose experiences, backgrounds, and beliefs differ from your own. This not only broadens your understanding, but also helps you see the world in new and unexpected ways. 3. Embrace uncertainty. The open mind revolution requires us to become comfortable with uncertainty. Rather than seeking immediate answers, we must learn to sit with ambiguity and use it as a tool for growth. Uncertainty invites creativity and innovation. It forces us to think outside the box. 4. Foster intellectual humility. The willingness to admit that we don't have all the answers is a key trait of an open mind. Intellectual humility allows us to remain open to new ideas and to accept that our understanding is always evolving. The open mind revolution is more than just a personal journey. It's a movement that has the potential to reshape our world. By embracing the power of an open mind, we can create a future where uncertainty is no longer feared, but embraced. This shift in mindset will drive innovation, foster empathy, and create a more inclusive and adaptable society. The question is not whether we will join the revolution, but how we will contribute to it. It starts with each of us, cultivating an open mind in our own lives and inspiring others to do the same. Together, we can create a world where rethinking is not an exception, but the norm. Conclusion. In conclusion, the power of uncertainty is not a force to be feared, but a catalyst for growth, innovation, and transformation. By embracing what we do not know, we unlock a world of endless possibilities, one where curiosity, adaptability, and intellectual humility lead the way. It is through uncertainty that we are forced to question, to rethink, and to reinvent not only our understanding of the world, but our place within it. The open mind revolution is not just about challenging old ideas. It is about fostering a culture where the courage to question is celebrated and the willingness to evolve is seen as strength. As we move forward, let us remember that it is in the unknown that the greatest discoveries are made and the most profound changes occur. The future belongs not to those who cling to certainty, but to those who dare to embrace the transformative power of uncertainty.